Alright guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Bridge Protocol. Today we're going to go over low back prehab for those of you who seem to maybe shy away or be leery of days where we're doing a lot of pulling or anything revolving low back. I know a lot of you in the gym struggle with some low back tightness, or maybe if we do a workout that requires tension through the posterior chain, the next few days you're feeling really beat up, really tight through that. So we're going to go over a piece of equipment today for the beginning of the video. Now this is a piece of equipment that could benefit and will benefit anyone and everyone, but I want you to make sure that before you use this piece of equipment that you do it under a coach's supervision. It doesn't take a lot to learn the movement, but I want to make sure that you guys are learning it properly before you just use it on your own. So I'm going to have use Ryan as my demonstrator. We're going to come back here to the reverse hyper. So I'm sure some of you have seen this piece of equipment. You've probably seen it used more as a table than anything, but this is a great piece of equipment. And the sad thing is I see a lot of gym owners purchase this piece of equipment and then they end up getting rid of it instead of utilizing it for what it could be. And if you're somebody that struggles through low back pain, this machine should be your best friend as you come in here. Now, setting up, we're not going to put any weight on, and I would suggest for those of you who are starting off with this, starting off with light weight. But basically, Ryan's going to get set up with his hips over the top of the table. He's going to grab the handles. Now, from here, Ryan's going to feel a lot of tension through his low back and into his hamstrings. And basically, keeping his legs long, pulling through the kneecap and his heels, he's going to extend those legs all the way up, squeezing his butt and his low back at the top, and then controlling it on the way back down. Pulling up, controlling it on the way back down. And you can do different things. You can relax and flex and do it, so he can flex and then relax on the way down, just kind of let it drop. Or he can flex and then kind of do a controlled squeeze on the way down. So there's different applications for us, but if you're someone that struggles with that low back pain or that low back tension, this should be your go-to machine at the beginning of every day. Right? So that's the reverse hyper again. See a coach and ask a coach to help you a little bit with that movement before you try that piece of equipment. All right, now we're going to get into a couple different drills that are going to be really good for elongating the hamstrings and then opening up the thoracic. The first one is going to be a split stance bend. And this is going to kind of be a slight variation of a deadlift, but it's going to require and use a lot more isolation of the hamstrings. So we're going to stand a barbell up all the way to the tall position, and from here we're going to kind of get sort of like a split stance. So I'm going to take a wider stance, and I want to be just ever so lightly in my big toe on my back leg. I'm going to put all my weight over my front leg, and from here I'm going to drive my butt back. I'm not going to lead with my shoulders, I'm going to lead with my butt on the way back and kind of just extending myself, and I'm going to get just enough load to where I kind of feel that tension through my hamstring. Again, being very light to that back big toe, and from here I'm just going to kind of hold the tension, elongate, and then flex through my butt on the way up. Right? I don't want to lead with the shoulder, because if I lead with the shoulder, I'm not putting the kind of tension in my front foot as I need to. So from here, standing up, driving with the butt back, keeping all that weight onto that front foot, just getting a good extension. And then from there, squeezing on the way up. So that's something that you're not going to do high reps of. You're probably only going to do at most maybe 10 repetitions. You're not going to really need any weight. I would highly suggest no one using weight to start with, but it's going to be something that's going to really open you up all the way through your hamstring, especially in the higher portion of your hamstring coming into your butt, where a lot of that tension gets pulled down, and we see that associated with a lot of that low back tension and low back pain. So if you're someone that being able to come here and touch the floor, you suffer a lot of like getting here is something you immediately feel through the lower back. And being able to open up and elongate that upper portion of your hamstring, which ends up pulling everything down, especially through the psoas in the back, that'll help you be able to get to a position where you can touch the floor and feel some tension release through there. Our next one is going to be the psoas pull. So here, we're going to take the peanut, and you can either do this starting on the ground. And if you go back and you watch our low back fix, our very first protocol video, there's a lot more extensive on this. But basically taking this, and whether you're on a bench or you're on the ground, I'm going to use a box right here. I'm going to set this up underneath. It's kind of splitting my spine. So where the muscles are on either side here is that psoas muscle in the back. I'm going to split with the peanut. From here, just put some pressure. I'm going to let whatever side I start with, I'm going to let one side relax. Then I'm going to pull my knee down and relax. You can do that for about a 30 to 40 second count before you switch sides, and the more you can kind of grab and pull trying to get more of that psoas to the back. So that's going to be the psoas pull. And then now we're going to take a clip second, and then we're going to move on to the static stretches. All right, so now we're going to move on to a couple final static pieces. So after doing, like I said before in the last shoulder video, I like to do a lot of those activation drills before we get into the mashing, because we've started to open up and activate some things, and now we can go into the longer stretches. So now we've kind of addressed, in the last clip we addressed coming through the hamstrings and then coming in up to the glutes and the psoas. Now we're going to kind of move from the lower back and address up into the thoracic, because also too where a lot of that low back tension can present itself is people are tight through the thoracic, so you're tight through this middle part of your back. So anything that involves going overhead or pressing overhead or reaching and pulling forward, you're feeling tighter. If you're someone who maybe can't even like get up and touch the middle back, so you can't do this, like this is as far as you get, or you're not able to reach and touch back in the middle, breaking up that thoracic is going to be super important. So two super easy things to do. A little bit more aggressive version is going to be using the barbell and a medicine ball. So I'm going to take this medicine ball and I'm going to bring it below my hips, and I kind of want this medicine ball to end up in the middle of my back. Right? From here you can use a barbell. Be very, if you're, again, just like we talked about in the shoulder video, if you're very tight and tense through the chest, be very careful with this, as that can be very aggressive. But from here, I'm going to get almost like a snatch grip on that barbell and kind of hook my hands in and start to relax, and I sink my hips down. And that's going to start to kind of roll my thoracic forward, and I can then pull against the bar and then relax. So I can pull and pinch my shoulder blades and then relax. All right? If that is a little too aggressive on your chest or your shoulder, you can then use something like a kettlebell. So instead of reaching overhead with a medicine ball, you're then just, with the barbell, same thing from here. You're just going to kind of reach overhead and behind you. And from here, start to sink your hips down. You just kind of pull tension against that medicine ball. All right, so that's going to be a little bit of thoracic openers. Last one's going to be the kettlebell mash. Now, if using the kettlebell, the hard kettlebell, is a little too intense for you, then you can go with something like the orb or even a foam roller. The reason I like the kettlebell is it's a little bit more of a 3D object, plus it's going to have a little bit more aggressive, because it's so it's just so dense, and it's going to really mash a little bit more. So I'm actually going to start on my side through my lat a little bit. Basically get this kind of deep-seated up into my lat, like kind of underneath the meaty part of my shoulder blade, and from here I'm going to kind of roll and find like a good tense spot, and from there just kind of wiggle myself back and forth, finding that kind of tender spot. If you want to, you can start to get in some half circles, but this is going to also help relieve tension through the thoracic and helping relieve some tension from the top or the middle of that low back. And then from here we can kind of turn, and you're going to kind of set it then on the underside portion of your lat towards the back. And again, we're just kind of open up ourselves, find a little bit of that tender spot, and we can then start to bring overhead. This is also plays really good into an extension of the shoulder video that we just put out, and it's going to be also help you open up a lot through the front of your shoulder too, as long as helping with that thoracic. So another quick thing, easy few things to do before workout when there's going to be a lot of pulling, or if you're just someone that on the daily is just struggling with tension through the hamstrings and the low back. You guys like Jason V, Emma Grover, any of you people out there in the gym that have reached out to us wanting to try to fix that. Those are all good things to do and good things to use, and I hope you guys come in the gym and get after these things and see some progress. We'll see you guys next time.